Drive through any city today, and you'll see something that makes absolutely no financial sense. Expensive cars everywhere. Brand new SUVs, luxury sedans, high-end trucks. Vehicles costing $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 or more. But here's the puzzling part. The median household income in most countries means the average person cannot realistically afford these vehicles, yet the parking lots are full of them. How is this possible? Walk through a lower-income neighborhood, and you'll often see cars worth more than an entire year's salary for the people driving them. Colleagues earning modest wages pull up in vehicles that should be financially impossible for them to own. Friends living paycheck to paycheck somehow drive cars that cost more than many people's homes. The math doesn't add up until you understand the dark financial mechanisms making this illusion possible. This isn't a mystery. It's a carefully engineered system designed to separate people from their money while creating the illusion of wealth and success. The automotive and financial industries have perfected the art of making expensive purchases feel affordable through extended financing, low monthly payment illusions, and psychological manipulation that convinces people they deserve vehicles they absolutely cannot afford. The result is a financial catastrophe playing out in millions of households. People trapped in 6, 7, or even 8-year car loans, paying thousands in interest, watching their vehicles depreciate faster than they build equity, and sacrificing their financial futures for the temporary satisfaction of driving something impressive. Research shows that many wealthy people actually drive cheaper, more practical cars, while those struggling financially often prioritize expensive vehicles to signal success they don't actually have. This phenomenon reveals something deeper about modern consumer culture. We've been conditioned to confuse the appearance of wealth with actual wealth. An expensive car in the driveway doesn't indicate financial success. It often indicates the exact opposite. It signals someone who prioritizes status over security, consumption over wealth building, and monthly payments over financial freedom. The question isn't really how people afford these cars. The answer is simple. They don't afford them. They finance them at enormous long-term cost. The real question is why? Why do people make financial decisions that objectively harm their futures? Why does someone earning $40,000 annually buy a $50,000 vehicle? Why does the desire for an impressive car override basic financial logic? This video exposes the exact mechanisms, financial, psychological, and social, that enable and encourage people to buy cars they cannot afford. You'll understand how the industry manipulates buyers, why people fall for it despite the obvious math, and what this means for anyone trying to build actual wealth instead of just looking wealthy. Before we break down these 3 powerful forces driving this irrational behavior, I want to hear from you. Are you enjoying this video so far? And where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I love connecting with viewers from around the globe. The primary mechanism enabling people to buy cars far beyond their means is extended financing, that transforms intimidating prices into seemingly manageable monthly payments. This is the cornerstone of the automotive sales model. Never discuss the total price, always focus on the monthly payment. Walk into any dealership, and the first question isn't, "What car do you want?" or "What's your budget?" It's, "What monthly payment can you afford?" This question is psychological manipulation disguised as helpfulness. The moment you answer, you've lost the negotiation because the dealer now controls every variable to hit that number while maximizing their profit. Here's how it works. A $60,000 vehicle financed over 7 years at 7% APR creates monthly payments of approximately $850. Too high? Extend it to 8 years. Now it's $780 monthly. Still too much? The automotive industry has normalized loan terms that were once unthinkable. 20 years ago, 5-year car loans were standard. Today, 6, 7, and 8-year loans are common, with some lenders offering 10-year terms. This extended timeline serves one purpose: making expensive vehicles appear affordable by spreading payments across more months, dramatically increasing total interest paid while ensuring buyers are underwater, owing more than the car's worth, for most of the loan. The monthly payment illusion is devastatingly effective because it bypasses rational financial analysis. Instead of thinking, I'm spending $60,000 plus $15,000 in interest for a car that will be worth $20,000 when I finally pay it off. Buyers think, I can handle $550 a month. The brain processes these as completely different transactions, and the latter feels manageable even when it's financially catastrophic. Leasing creates an even more dangerous illusion. A $50,000 luxury vehicle might lease for $400, $500 monthly with zero down. This feels affordable compared to buying, but you're essentially renting forever, never building equity, always having a payment, and constrained by mileage limits and wear and tear charges. Many people who can afford expensive cars are actually trapped in perpetual lease cycles, appearing wealthy while building zero assets. The 0% financing trap is another manipulation. Buy this $45,000 SUV with 0% APR for 72 months. Sounds amazing. No interest. But you're still committing $625 monthly for 6 years for a vehicle that loses 30% of its value in the first 3 years. The deal still leaves you paying full price for a rapidly depreciating asset while tying up enormous cash flow that could build actual wealth. Trade-ins with negative equity create cascading debt cycles. Someone owing $25,000 on a car worth $18,000 trades it for a newer model, rolling that $7,000 negative equity into the new loan. Now they're financing $52,000 for a car with a $45,000 sticker price, ensuring they're underwater immediately and unable to escape without significant loss. This cycle repeats every 3 to 4 years, with debt growing each time. The payment illusion also ignores total cost of ownership. Insurance on expensive vehicles costs $2,000 for $4 annually. Maintenance and repairs on luxury brands cost 2 to 3x more than economy cars. Premium fuel adds $1,000 annually. Registration fees are higher on expensive vehicles. That $550 monthly payment is actually $800 to $1,000 when true costs are included. If this breakdown of how the auto industry manipulates buyers is opening your eyes to financial traps you hadn't considered, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to reach 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps us expose these industry tactics and protect your financial future. Thank you for being part of this community. The second force driving low-income individuals to buy expensive cars is psychological and social. The overwhelming pressure to signal success through visible consumption, with cars being the most public statement of status available to most people. Human beings are social creatures with deep evolutionary needs for status within their groups. Historically, status determined access to resources, mates, and survival. Modern society has transformed how status is signaled, but the psychological drive remains intense. For most people, their car is the largest, most visible, most frequently seen status symbol they can access. And this makes it irresistible, despite the financial cost. Research and observation consistently show that truly wealthy people often drive modest, practical vehicles, Toyotas, Hondas, Fords, while people struggling financially drive expensive cars to appear successful. This inversion happens because actual wealthy people don't need to prove their status through consumption. Their security is internal. People without wealth feel compelled to signal success they don't possess, hoping external validation will compensate for internal insecurity. The visibility factor is crucial. Your home's interior, your investment portfolio, your savings account, nobody sees these. But your car? Everyone sees it. Co-workers see it in the parking lot. Neighbors see it in your driveway. Friends see it when you pick them up. Strangers see it at traffic lights. It's your rolling billboard of success, broadcasting your status or desired status to everyone you encounter. This visibility creates comparison anxiety. When your colleague pulls up in a new BMW, your reliable 10-year-old Honda suddenly feels inadequate, even though it's paid off and running perfectly. When friends post pictures with their new luxury SUVs, the pressure to keep up becomes overwhelming. Social media has amplified this dramatically. You're no longer comparing yourself to your immediate circle, but to curated highlight reels of thousands of people, all showcasing their best purchases and experiences. The automotive industry understands this psychology perfectly and exploits it ruthlessly. Advertising doesn't sell transportation, it sells identity, status, and belonging. You deserve this. Show them you've made it. Life's too short to drive boring cars. These messages tap directly into status anxiety and aspirational identity, convincing people that buying an expensive car is an investment in themselves rather than a financial drain. Cultural factors amplify the pressure. In many communities, your car represents your worth as a person. Driving an older, modest vehicle, even if it's the financially smart choice, opens you to judgment, assumption of failure, and social diminishment. The pressure to prove you're doing okay or successful overrides rational financial analysis. People would rather have a $600 monthly car payment than face the perceived shame of driving something modest. For some professionals, expensive cars feel necessary for client acquisition or career advancement. Real estate agents, sales professionals, business owners believe expensive cars signal competence and success to potential clients. This creates a justification loop where the car becomes a business expense in their minds, even though the actual return on this investment is usually negative or unmeasurable. The immediate gratification aspect compounds these pressures. Buying an expensive car provides instant status boost, immediate validation, and a dopamine hit that feels rewarding in the moment. The long-term financial consequences, years of payments, thousands in interest, missed investment opportunities, are abstract and future-oriented, making them psychologically easy to dismiss compared to the immediate pleasure of driving something impressive. The tragic irony is that this status signaling actually delays or prevents real wealth building. Research consistently shows that living below your means and investing the difference is the path to actual financial freedom. But someone paying $600 monthly for a car they can't afford has zero cash flow for investments, emergency funds, or wealth-building opportunities. They're sacrificing real future security for fake present status. The third factor, making expensive car purchases possible for low-income buyers, is widespread financial illiteracy, combined with an industry designed to exploit that ignorance for maximum profit. Most people simply don't understand car financing math. They don't calculate total interest paid over loan terms. They don't compute actual cost of ownership, including insurance, maintenance, fuel, and depreciation. They don't compare the opportunity cost, what that monthly payment could become if invested instead. This ignorance isn't their fault. Financial literacy isn't taught in schools, creating generations of consumers vulnerable to sophisticated sales tactics. The automotive sales process is engineered to confuse and overwhelm. Buyers enter dealerships thinking about the car they want, but dealers control the conversation through foursquare technique, payment packing, and financial jargon that obscures the true cost. Terms like APR, balloon payments, residual values, money factors, acquisition fees, and disposition fees mean nothing to most buyers, allowing dealers to manipulate these variables while the buyer focuses only on monthly payment. The four walls technique is particularly manipulative. Dealers negotiate four variables simultaneously: vehicle price, trade-in value, down payment, and monthly payment, shifting money between them to confuse buyers and hide profit margins. A buyer might successfully negotiate the car price down, only to have the dealer compensate by lowballing the trade-in or extending the loan term. The buyer feels they won when they've actually lost. Add-ons and upsells at closing are another profit center designed to exploit buyer fatigue and confusion. After hours of negotiation, when buyers are exhausted and eager to finish, finance managers sell extended warranties, gap insurance, paint protection, fabric protection, and maintenance plans. Products with 60–80% profit margins that buyers rarely use or need. In their confused, tired state, buyers say yes to thousands in additional costs. The industry also exploits temporal distance. Signing papers for a 7-year loan feels abstract. 7 years seems far away, making the commitment feel less real. But those 84 monthly payments are very real, and buyers often don't grasp the weight of the obligation until they're trapped in it. Months or years later, struggling to afford payments while the car depreciates rapidly. Credit score manipulation enables even more exploitation. Subprime auto lending targets buyers with poor credit, charging 15 to 25% interest rates on already overpriced vehicles. These buyers often have the least financial literacy and the most desperate transportation needs, making them vulnerable to predatory terms. The monthly payment might be affordable, but total interest can exceed the vehicle's purchase price. The payment budget trap leads to financial disaster. Someone earning $3,000 monthly might think $500 for a car is reasonable. That's only 17% of my income. But they're not calculating that after taxes, rent, utilities, food, and other obligations, they have perhaps $600 discretionary monthly. Committing $500 of that to a car payment leaves $100 for everything else: savings, emergencies, entertainment, life. One unexpected expense creates crisis. Negative equity cycles trap buyers in perpetual debt. As mentioned earlier, trading in vehicles with negative equity and rolling that debt into new loans creates compounding problems. People can end up owing $40,000 on vehicles worth $25,000, unable to sell without massive loss, unable to refinance, trapped in payments they can't afford but can't escape. This cycle can persist for decades. The opportunity cost is the silent killer. A person paying $500 monthly for a car from age 25-65, 40 years, will pay $240,000 in car payments over their lifetime. If instead they drove modest paid-off vehicles and invested that $500 monthly at 8% returns, they'd have approximately $1.7 million by age 65. They're trading $1.7 million in retirement wealth for the temporary pleasure of driving impressive cars during their working years. The answer to how do so many people buy expensive cars on low salaries is simple. They don't buy them. They finance them at enormous long-term cost, manipulated by an industry that profits from their financial illiteracy and status anxiety, sacrificing their financial futures for the illusion of success in the present.